You're listening to Hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter. That's me, your naturally platinum blonde pop culture connoisseur. I'm the reality TV junkie, self-improvement addict, and host with only the hottest tea spilled fresh weekly. For more hot takes, go and give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. I always keep it funny and I always keep it cute. Or if you like me and you want to stay up to date with the latest reality tea, just go and give us a follow at No Filter with Zack on the Instagram. Or you can always join our private Facebook group. The link is in the description below. If you haven't done so yet, I hope you are drinking some of my fizzy Housewives-inspired rosé, packing a punch at 14% alcohol by volume, but less than a gram of sugar. You can stock up on my Housewives Watching Wine at nofilterwine.com. So head on over, and if you haven't done so yet, go and get your tickets to see me and Adam Newell from Up and Adam live on tour. We're going to be in LA April 7th, Nashville April 13th, and New York on April 28th. We have lots of surprise guests in store, so get ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. Head to spillingtealive.com to get your tickets. Today's guest I'm really excited about because I've been binging Real Housewives of Miami on Peacock. She is a Cuban doll who's back on the scene and living more than the dream because her life is like a movie, and the award for best drama goes to her. Please welcome, from the Real Housewives of Miami, Alexia Nepola.
Hi, Zack. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I love that whole introduction. And I feel like I should be drinking that drink right there that you have there.
I know. I'm going to need to send you some of the rosé and we can get Liddy City together.
Yes.
So how have you been? We haven't seen you on our TV screens in quite a while.
That is true, right? I think too many years. I feel like, we had to play catch up this season for the 8 years that you haven't seen me on TV. And it's never like the real, it's never like enough, right? Because I feel like just one season trying to play catch up for 8 years isn't enough. But, you guys got to see a little bit of what you've been missing for those 8 years. And I'm sure you're not surprised. I'm sure that you're having fun with it.
Are you still running Venue magazine?
No, unfortunately, no. We celebrated our 10th year anniversary for Venue in September of 2016. And 3 days later, Herman passed away. And a few months later, his two sons decided to close the magazine.
And now you have Alexia and Frankies Beauty Bar, I see.
Yes. Now I have Alexia and Frankie's Beauty Bar, and I love it because it's what I've always loved, beauty. And, making women even more beautiful, and it's kind of like, it's all services like nails, spray tan, massage, hair, a little bit of everything, but also just like, having the business where I can talk to ladies and women all day. So it's like, it's therapeutic. And at the same time, I'm making them beautiful. So it's like, we're all having a great time.
So Real Housewives of Miami is back, and it's been a major hit. Everyone that I know that loves Housewives is obsessed. I had to go back and watch the first 3 seasons because I don't know how I slept on those first 3 seasons, and it was so good then. It's just as great now. Were you excited when you got the call that they were thinking about bringing it back?
Yes, of course. I mean, I always believed that it would come back someday. I just was not happy that it took 8 years for it to come back, but I'm very happy to be part of it after 8 years. I think it's something huge, like the comeback, and to be part of it with a lot of the OGs and to have, new girls also join the cast has been really great.
So what were those conversations like over the past 8 years? Were you guys calling up the production company or trying to reach out to Andy Cohen and been like, what's going on? We're still in limbo. We haven't been officially canceled, but like...
I love that we were not officially canceled ever. It's kind of like DC. I think of DC and I feel like it was canceled.
Yeah.
But Miami was kind of like, we don't know what's going on. And, fast forward, that was the first year, second year, I felt that maybe if like together as a cast or maybe even individually, we would have reached out to somebody, they would have listened. But none of us never really did anything. We just kind of like went along with it and just, believed that, one day it would come back. And that's what happened. 8 years later, we're here. I think the fans had a lot to do with it, that they were very local. So thank you, fans, for believing in us and, and voicing your opinion, because I think they finally listened, and that's why we're here.
Did you have any reservations when you found out it was going to be on Peacock and not Bravo?
Not Really, I mean, I really didn't understand Peacock at that time because I'm not that, I didn't know that it was like the streaming and that the whole world is streaming now, right? Because I really don't do streaming.
Yeah.
I don't watch too much TV to begin with. So, but right away I knew that it was going to be something great because, this is what the times we're living and it's the future. And I felt like it was very smart of Peacock to bring in a show like ours, to attract, all the audience and the viewers, into that platform and get subscribers and the whole thing. So I think it's been like a good experience, for us and for the network as well. And, hopefully it'll transition into Bravo. But, just the fact that we had such a strong season and, we're on Peacock is really important to us.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I had my reservations because I was like, do I need another streaming service? But like this one is worth it because like all of the show, Ultimate Girls Trip, Real Housewives of Miami, like all the shows that they've been coming out with are really good.
Yes, and even movies. I mean, I saw Marry Me on Friday, and I was super excited about like, how does that work? Like, you can go to the movies or you can watch it here. I'm like, let's watch it here, like right now. I want to see it right now.
I know. I watched.
I'm getting used to it as well. But, it's something new. And I think it's new, like how you say, there's a lot of people that have reservations about getting another streaming platform. But you know what? I've convinced a lot of people to get it. And they're very, very happy that they did. And there's also great shows on it. So, like I said, I think it's the future. But I honestly would love to be on Bravo as well. Because, I'm also, that's how we started. And I feel like, the Bravo also has like a big, fan base and a big audience. So it's important to be in both.
What was the conversation like when they approached you about, reviving the show?
So, I mean, we had always been like in touch with the producers because, they would come to Miami and, we would talk to them and the whole thing. So, I feel like they would come around and kind of like to see what we're doing with our lives and what was going on. And they would like come and go, but it was never anything solid. And I think what really pushed it was, in my opinion, was the fact that COVID happened. And, there were many people at home and obviously watching Bravo because it has such great shows. And they started doing the reruns and the marathons of the Miami Housewives. And we're like, why are they doing this now? They were like, tease us. And then they were like, go back. And I would say, this time around, it's a little different because they wanted us like more involved. And obviously, we started promoting these marathons and the Miami Housewives again on Bravo. So I said, I think they're up to something. And then that was the perfect opportunity for the fans, to continue to voice their opinion and say, we want them back, we want them back. Miami became a very popular city during the pandemic because, everybody wanted to be here because of the beautiful weather, because our restrictions were, less than other cities, let's say. So it just became very popular. So I said, if there's any time that we should come back, it needs to be now. And it was exactly that. We got the phone call and then everything happened super quickly. And, in less than a year, we're on TV finishing the season. You guys have a few more episodes that you'll watch in the reunion. And that's it.
So I've gotten a lot of questions from listeners wanting to know what's going on with you and Lea Black. I know she's had a lot to say about you in the past few weeks. Do you miss her on the show at all?
So I don't miss Lea Black. And apparently she misses me and us a lot because all she does is talk about us, right? So I think that she's feeling it. I think that she's feeling like left out. So, she always wants to stay relevant. So, let's talk about us.
Well, she said it was her decision to not come back to the show.
I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it. How everything is. Like, you can say whatever it is and there's really like no evidence to back it up. But I can tell you that I know a lot, and I know that she was not asked to be back on the show because it didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? It didn't make any sense. I honestly never really understood why she was even on season one, because, when you're in a group with women, you have to have like a dynamics, and I felt that she's just not that kind of a woman. I don't think she has like friends. I think that, whenever she has something to contribute, it's kind of like an insult, a compliment wrapped in an insult. I think she likes to put women down. I think she throws digs. I don't like her humor, her sarcasm. I never understood it. I still don't get it today. And the truth is that she was lucky that she had 3 seasons because she never really belonged there. And I still feel that, and not in a bad way. I mean, I'm saying it in a good way. I mean, that's like my opinion. And I know that I also can speak for a few of the women on the show and they feel the same way. And I feel like this season was a lot better without her.
I mean, this season definitely feels fresh. It feels exciting. The women are all bringing it. Now, we know Adriana and Marisol did not get like the full housewife status. Did you guys know going into it whether or not you would be like full housewife or friends of?
Well, I mean, I can only speak for myself, and I knew my story and I knew what I was bringing, and I've always known. So I knew I was going to be a housewife. I feel like I was one of the anchors, and maybe like Lisa, I mean, the truth is that for the show to have come back, you need some of the OGs, you need the fans that, have been watching you, for seasons and that are interested in your story. So I knew that Lisa, for example, and myself would be asked back as housewives. The other ones were questionable.
How are you and Lisa doing? We saw a little bit of friction between you guys this season. It seemed like there was a little tension when you guys appeared on Watch What Happens Live.
There's always a little bit of friction between Lisa and I, but it's all good because we genuinely love each other. And, I'm like her big sister. And, sometimes the big sister, has to act like the big sister and like check you. So, but, it's all good. We continue to be great friends. And we're going to have our moments like, sisters and friends do. And it's all good. It's just like how you come back from it and, just play it off and move forward.
Have you had any communication with Joanna Krupa or Christy Rice?
With Joanna, I haven't had at all because, she was another one that I never really thought belonged in our city because she's not from Miami. And so I never got close to Joanna. When she came on in season 2, I stepped down because of the situation that I had with my son, Frankie, after his accident. So I voluntarily, participated, as little as I could, or as much as I could, sorry, which was very little, which is I was really trying to say. And in season 3, it was the same thing. So it's like, I never really had like a kind of friendship with her. And again, I really thought she belonged like in LA, that she didn't really represent, our city. So I never spoke to her again. I'm very happy that she's moved on and she has, a beautiful family and has a child. And I wish her the best. And the other one, Christy I've seen here in Miami, but Christy was only on season 1. So, it was a very long time ago. And I've, continued to see her here, but, I never thought that she would be asked back for the season either. Larsa, I wasn't surprised. Larsa, I'm glad she's back. And I always thought she belonged and, we're all friends. And I think she was a good addition, to the season.
How are you, Nicole, doing? Were you guys able to clear up the things that she accused you of saying about Marisol?
No, I mean, the thing is that when that happened, I thought it was really poor taste of Nicole to kind of deflect her situation and what she had said about Larsa and Lisa and try to make it into, a fight between Marisol and I. Surprisingly for her, it didn't happen. Okay, you're smart, but you're not that smart. And Marisol and I are real friends. So, there's no, that bond that we have, she, a stranger pretty much that came into the group is not gonna screw things up for us. So that didn't work. And then she had to concentrate on defending, her point of view on what actually had happened, which was really, the focus. It wasn't about Marisol and I. After that, because this is a reality show, it was impossible to really talk to her because we had planned to have dinner one night. So, and her baby, unfortunately fell down and got hurt. So we had to cancel that night. And then it just kind of things happen like that, organically, that we were never really able to have a heart to heart between her and I.
How are Peter and Todd doing?
They're doing great. The truth is that, they were doing good before. And, that just happened because it's what had to happen. And, as a family, we were able to see it after. Thank God we had already moved on and in a better place because obviously this was filmed before. So when you guys saw it, when we got to see it again, many months had passed by. So it was difficult to watch, as a family and painful. But the good thing is that we were at a great place. And it's kind of oh, wow, we did that. It was that bad. Because, when you're in the moment, you don't realize that. So, sometimes you have to get uncomfortable, in order to get results. And, we did get really good results as a family, and we're stronger and better, all together, and things are good.
Well, obviously, Frankie's a hot button topic. How are you and Todd, or how do you guys work through, addressing his care?
No, I mean, we've, like Todd and I, that's never been like an issue. Like Frankie's care, you know what I mean? I'm obviously like the mom, and I'm the one that's been more involved in his care because, Todd came into this already, 5 years ago, but he wasn't as involved as he is, today. Because, in the beginning of a relationship, sometimes you'll have to respect, the man and say, we don't know if this is going to be, long term. We don't know what's going to happen. So, it's been 5 years already. And, Todd is very much, involved as my partner, in my decisions. Like, what do you think? What we can do? He's, he just helps me and supports me and Frankie, which is like what we need. When you're married to somebody and we're all living together, you need to have, that support system.
No, it's crucial. I know for me, with my brother who, he has autism, which I know is different from Frankie, but, we've had issues where when my mother would introduce a new relationship, like it affects the dynamic of the family. And, there are certain boundaries issues. I know even for myself, I've struggled with boundaries issues of like, when do I overstep or when do I just be a supporting role versus, overshooting the mark.
And that's why I understand, it's tough as the child when, the man's coming into the relationship, and it's tough for the man, especially because my children are older. I think it's easier when they're little and they really don't have like an opinion or something they could say, or they're afraid of saying it. It's a lot easier. But when they're already like two young men, it's a little bit, it takes time. It's like, it takes time and to get it to where you want it to be. And I feel like we're all in a good place today, but it's taken like a lot of hard work. But, the important thing is that we all realize that it's all important to us. And if we all love each other, this is the only way of doing it. You know what I mean? Like Todd should care about how I feel about Peter and about Frankie, as he does. And, his intentions were always good intentions. And Peter the same. Peter wants to see me happy. So if, he's going to do everything, to make me happy and to be cooperative and to just like, we all love each other and we all want to get through this and move on and, and be a happy family. And like I said, in other interviews that I've done today, that every family goes through this, in different ways. We got to share it with the world, but, these are like family issues, that happen. And it's just like talking it over and, and just getting through it,
How's Peter doing? I know that the battery charges were recently dropped against him.
Right. Well, he was never charged with that. He was arrested. There's a difference. He was arrested, but he was never charged with any battery charges. So we're happy about it because I always believed in him. Mm-hmm.
How is he doing? Obviously, I would imagine being back on the show and, being dragged into the headlines again, how are you helping him through kind of the public criticism?
Right. Well, I've always been very supportive, of my children as I should, and it doesn't matter what age they are. I think as a mother, that's all they're always going to have me. It's like this unconditional love and support, because if they don't have me, who are they going to have? So, I think because Peter already experienced this, in years prior, he's grown thick skin and he cares, but he doesn't care so much, because you can't say, oh, I don't care. No, we're human beings. And if you have feelings and emotions and a heart, you care. But it's just like growing a thick skin and kind of like tuning out and not reading, all those things, because they could really damage you. And you have to have a really strong mind. You have to have a really strong heart and say, you know what, I'm not going to read this. I'm not, because I know who I am. And I know I'm a good person and I'm just full of love and I'm a kind person and they don't know me. But, we are guilty. In the people's court, we're guilty to proven innocent. And that's how it is. But that's what this is what we do. People are judgmental. People are going to have an opinion. So, luckily for us, there was justice and, nothing happened, and there was, a happy, positive outcome. So we're happy with that.
I feel like you are probably, I think you're you're probably my favorite on Miami because I feel like you're so honest and open and you really just don't hold anything back. Is that ever a question or something that you guys consider as a family about like when to not address certain things on camera, or is it really just full all holds barred?
No, well, you see, I feel bad for Todd because Todd didn't sign up for this. And neither did Peter for that matter, right? Because they were young when I decided to do the show, when I started doing the show. And then, everything happened naturally, organically, how this happened. So I feel bad for him because he's new at it. It's kind of like a new relationship, even though we've been together for 5 years. And, this poor guy, like, got all of this, right? But again, you never know, like these things aren't planned out. It's not like you sit there and you talk about it and say, okay, we're not going to discuss this, and that. Maybe moving forward, we'll start doing that. Okay, if you have anything to say. So, but no, we never did that as a family. Honestly, we didn't. And, Todd thought it was more like a girls' show. They just like the women get together and they attack each other and they talk shit and, whatever. And he thought we were going to be talking about penis, which we actually did while Joanna did. And, that kind of stuff, right? But he didn't think that it was so like family oriented. But like I told him, I go, well, it's family oriented for me because I'm a mom. And like, I've always been like the mom and my family and my kids. It's always been like my thing. And it's going to continue to be till the day I'm here on this earth, because this is like who I am. And, I'm very involved with my kids, with both of them. And I have a great relationship with them. And, Frankie and Peter work with me. Peter's working with me now at the beauty bar even more. So you're always going to see that. So because, it's a reality show that's based on my life and the show revolves around my life, this is what you guys got, and I feel bad because he didn't sign up for this, like I said, or my son, because if nobody, what happens to Peter has happened to a lot of families. Nobody knows about it because they're not public. But my lessons and my family lessons always turn into public lessons. So it's a lot harder, when you have to, learn these lessons in front of the public that is so quick to judge.
Well, Confidence by Quinn on Instagram wrote in a question for you. She said, what gives you the strength to share so much that so many of us would not be willing to expose on a show?
Okay, so, if you see me on the previous seasons, I was not comfortable with sharing. If you really know me, you know that I am that kind of person. I'm like an open book, talk to my customers. I'm very open. I can talk about anything. And, so that always has helped me. I know and I feel like when the cameras are around, I tune them out. So I'm the same person that I am, whether they're there or not. But in my personal life, what has helped me, and has given me the strength was the fact that after Frankie's accident, I started writing a book. And, I found it just like therapeutic and healing, just like it wasn't only like my journey with him and his accident, but it was also like who I was and like what my childhood had been and like, just like how my life had evolved and where I was at that moment. So it was a little bit of everything, right? But I started just writing things down. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm writing this. I'm getting it out of myself. So fast forward all these years, I would also have to add a lot more chapters because a lot has happened since then. But I've also been able to talk to a lot of people about it. So as I've gone, older and wiser, and I found that it was therapeutic and healing, actually talking about it and how I was helping a lot of my friends, I was just more comfortable. And, things that I was ashamed about in the past, I started becoming proud about. So I turned that, I'm like, well, why am I ashamed of that? That's not such a bad thing. I lived it. I am who I am today because of that experience. And it's giving me like the strength, to be stronger and to just kind of like face, whatever adversity I've had in my life. But my 50s now, it's like, I'm proud of who I am, instead of being ashamed. Like, I'm not sorry, I don't care what you think of me. I've like come this far. So it's like, I don't want to say I'm a different person because I've always been like this, but I'm just like not afraid. Life is too short. Life is too fragile. And I'm proud of who I am. I love who I am. And then that's it, so it's like, it's been very changing. My 50s have kind of like just changed. If you would have asked me, would I have done this in my 20s or my 30s? No, I was so embarrassed. I mean, I was like, my first husband was in jail and I was like a school teacher and I would lie to all my teachers, to all my, my peers. Like I would say he was on a trip, and maybe they probably knew, but they weren't saying anything about it. I would take my Peter to baseball practice, and they would ask about their dad. I'd be like, oh, he's traveling again. They're like, oh, okay. So I lived in a lie. I did that in my 20s. I did it in my 30s. My 40s, it was kind of like, do I want to keep like living in a lie? No. So, after Frankie's accident, that I found like the strength, within myself. I said, wow, like you're like really a badass. Like you're really strong, and you've gone through all this, and it's like how you react to it and how you come back. So I was like, I'm not ashamed anymore. And I'm not, apologizing for any of these experiences that I've had or people that I've had in my life or things that have happened to me, because I'm actually proud of them.
Marilyn 143 wants to know, of all those events, which one would you say helped you grow the most?
Definitely Frankie's accident.
Peter opened up about talking about how he kind of had to go through like a grieving process, because, and I know even, talking to my own mom when my brother was finally diagnosed with autism, like there was the grieving process of like the future that you had initially envisioned and how, things are different and changing. How did you process all of that? And carrying it kind of on your own. I mean, I felt like you obviously had Herman, but a lot of it, we saw you really being the one to carry it on your back.
Right. So, I mean, it was something that was just like innate. Like I said, like the only person that can save him is me. So I just became the doctor. I became the nurse. Like I got, it was just like me fighting for him, to the point that I forgot about Peter and I forgot about Herman and I forgot about the rest of my family and friends, because all my focus, was on Frankie. And, the doctors will say, when I say, I took Frankie back after his accident, like this doctor saved your life, the neurosurgeon. And I remember the neurosurgeon coming out and with his eyes watering, and he looked at Frankie and he said, no, your mom saved you. Your mom's love saved you. And, and a lot of the doctors that have dealt with me throughout the years will tell him that. They're like, Alexia, like you did this. So I know God did it in the universe and everybody that prayed for him. But, I think that love, and I really do believe that love just like cures everything. It's like the reason for everything. And yes, he's very fortunate that he had, a mom that I literally gave up my life. I mean, to the point that, I was there in the hospital with him 24/7. I would not leave. I was there every step of the way. And we were very fortunate and blessed that, we did have the resources, but that I was an educated person. I have my master's in special ed. Like I taught autism, I taught varying exceptionalities. I never thought, that life, would turn around and that I would end up, with a child with special needs. But I helped so many kids with that. So I did this, but it's different when you have to do it for your son. And, but I was able to do it, and that God gave me the strength, and I had the strength and I had the faith, and I never gave up. And, you always have to live with that hope inside. And that's the secret. Like you always have to look forward to something and, have hope for something. And I still do to today with Frankie. I'm hoping, that he's going to be as independent as he can, and that he's going to meet, a nice girl, and he's going to have, a normal life. And, and you just have to, and I'm lucky that I have that, you know what I mean? I wish that for everybody, because I think that that's what like keeps you going. You have to have something to look forward to.
I always get upset when people talk about like this theory of like false hope and how you can't give people false hope. I'm always like, no, hope is the thing you need to hold on to, because that's what's going to keep you going. When you let go of hope, you essentially just give up. And I know for me, giving up's just not an option. You need to stay focused on hope, because it gives you a purpose and a reason to keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Amen. You couldn't have said it better. And that's why I feel bad for the people that don't have that hope and don't have that faith, because you can't give it to them. And like you said, it's like the only reason. You have to have a purpose and a reason, to live. And, mine is my children and my life with Todd and with my stepdaughters and, my life. And yes, I've gone through a lot through my life, but I've also had a very happy, beautiful life. Yeah. And I'm very blessed and I'm very grateful for it. And that's what I choose to see. And that's how I live my life. And I see Frankie as a blessing. He's taught us so much. I learn from Frankie every single day. Peter learns from Frankie, everybody. And only a mom or a parent that has gone through something like this knows that pain. and it's a pain that's always going to be there no matter how much you try to make it better, and even so much for Peter, because Peter as a brother is like, oh, but my brother was this. And I'm sure, when he sees them, he's like, my brother was going to be this and my brother was going to be that. And it's just accepting it, but he's not. And we're lucky that he's alive and that he's a miracle. And that's how I see it every day. And if he sees me sad one day, he looks at me, he goes, Mom, look at me, I'm alive. And he just says that. And I'm like, Frankie, who says that, right? Somebody who he sees people upset. It's kind of like he can't communicate so well, but he understands everything. And he's like, what are you complaining about? Look at me. And I'm happy, and I'm just happy that I'm breathing, that I'm alive, that I'm walking, that I'm eating. That's all I need, So he really puts things in perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and he looks like he's doing really well from what we've seen on the show.
Yeah, no, he is.
I love the scene when you guys are you're at your beauty bar and you're talking about like eating ass, and he looks at you and you're like, oh my God, like you completely forgot that there was that moment, but he had such just like a child reaction to his mom saying something in front of him that he's like, I don't want to know that.
Yeah, no, he still does that to me when I say like appropriate things.
What happened? Obviously, we kicked off the start of this season with you going on a search for or trying to have a conversation with Herman's rumored boyfriend. Whatever happened with that? Did you guys ever have an opportunity to connect?
We did. Yes, we did. And it was very helpful. And I really, I wanted to make sure that a lot of the things that I was thinking or questions that I had in my mind, I wanted to see if he can help me give me the answers to them. And he was very good. I totally understand why Herman fell in love with him, because he's an amazing human being. And I'm very happy that he was able to answer all those questions. Like we laughed, we cried, we were on the phone for hours, and I understand everything now. And it's kind of like I wanted to put closure to that, as a woman and as his wife. And just, I had like all these uncertainties, and like I felt like the one closest to him for the last year and a half before he died was this individual, and I didn't even know about it. So it's like, who better than him? So I was very happy that he was willing, because that says a lot about himself too. He was willing, to talk to me. And that's where I said, okay, now I totally get it. And I'm very happy, that at least Herman had that opportunity, to live his life how he wanted to live it. And, I'm sorry that, people that were still living, in the times that we're today, that, people judge you, but whatever a great man you are, like he was, and what a great person, and how many people he helped, and how generous and kind and just everything he was, an extraordinary human being. And I want to focus on that, or say how that was like not okay. Yeah, I mean, there's still people, that we live in these worlds that you can't even have that conversation. They don't even want to talk about that. And I'm like, oh, okay. But you know what? It's my life and it's my narrative. And it was very important to me to talk about it. And it wasn't only me. It's like, you're talking behind my back. I mean, I think it's funny because like Lea Black is the first one like trying to call me out, saying, oh, why would you talk about your dead husband? Whatever. You talked about him. You knew his friends. You knew like his friend that was renting the apartment to him. Like, a lot. You just talk behind people's backs, right? So the fact that I was his wife and that I lived that, and that, I found out all this information after he died, and that I'm sharing it in a very tasteful way because it was only coming from a good place and a place of love and caring. I don't see why she needs to turn it into, something negative. And I don't care what she thinks, but this is why she's not on the show.
Was there a feeling of betrayal when you actually found out that he had, a lover, or maybe a sense of like relief? Fact that you... No,
I never felt like, it's funny because a lot of people will think like, oh my God, like Herman betrayed you and he was cheating on you and he was doing all this behind your back. And I don't see it that way. And I think that what makes everything different is because I only have love for this person.
Yeah.
So I didn't see it as a betrayal. I actually felt sorry for him. Can you imagine living like in this situation that, you want to be a free man and you want to be, in a relationship with another man, and you have to be living in a lie and be hiding because you're afraid of how people are going to react to you, or they're going to, And the funny thing is that he knew like my love for the gay community so he knew that. And he actually told his partner, he's like, Alexia's super cool. Like all her friends are gay and she loves all that. And, she always says like how she was like a gay man or she's going to be a gay man in her next life, all this stuff. But he still didn't have the nerve to tell me. And that's what was sad to me and disappointing. That's like, I said, you don't think he would have ever told me? And he said, no. He said he was never telling you that because he thought he would be disrespecting you and that you have gone through so much in your life. And how can he do this to you? And I'm like, no. So it's like, that's what I'm sad about, that he never thought or believed that I would have been okay with it and like supported it. I did not see that as something negative. I don't see that as a weakness. I don't see that as any of that. So that's what really hurt me, that Herman and I were never able to have that conversation. And for me to say, it's okay, I support you, I love you, you're still amazing, I respect you, I admire, like nothing changed. Nothing changed. I don't see it as a betrayal. I don't see him like, a double life. The only person that I feel bad about is him and that he's no longer here.
Jay Denny 2030 wants to know if you've heard from his kids since returning on the show and talking about it.
I have not. I have not heard anything from his kids. I mean, his kids and I already, after the litigation that we went through a few years ago, after that time, we never saw each other again. And that's what it's been. But, I'm sure that they realize, they know about it. So it's not like they're hearing it from me. They actually were the ones that were very happy to tell me about their dad. So you know what? It is what it is. So I'm sure they were so in the beginning, what would be the word, so willing, to share all this information and in a hurtful way to kind of make me see like, you see, my dad never loved you. He loved it. That's what they were trying. So you know what? That's why it was so important for me, like to talk, to Herman's lover and, to hear it from him and to know, about how much Herman loved and cared for our family.
And I would imagine this doesn't change the fact that you still felt love in your marriage with him.
100%. Yeah. Herman only showed love to me and to my children, and like I said, when we were separated for a year and a half, we never talked about divorce, but when the man leaves your house, when you leave your family house and you kind of get your apartment, it's kind of like you're on your own. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, so that's why I don't see it as a betrayal or disrespect or anything like that, because I was telling everybody I was single also, and I was going out and having my fun.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether I was doing it with another woman or with another man. That's like what I don't get. You know what I mean? It's like, who cares? Okay, he was having his fun. I don't care whether it was a man or with a woman. As a matter of fact, I prefer that it was with a man. I don't think I would have been calling the woman like to get any information, right? But the man was a different thing. So it's not like he, I'm good with it. Yeah. And I feel like people need to like be a little bit more open, about all these like things. I think we would live in a happier, much better world.
Oh, absolutely. FDD 1997 wants to know if you felt weird at all giving an interview for the Cocaine Cowboys documentary.
Well, at the time that it happened, this was many years ago. That's what a lot of people don't know. So at the time that I did that was like 9 years ago. And I didn't even know what I was doing either. Like I was trying to help like the father of my kids, was telling me, oh, I'm writing a book. They're doing a movie. They're doing a docuseries, blah, blah, blah. They're gathering all this information. They're doing interviews. As a matter of fact, Herman drove me, like Herman and I went together to the interview. He was actually sitting there listening to all that because, Herman and the dad were good friends. So, they turned out to be good friends. So, anyways, so I went and I know what I was doing. They were asking me all those questions and I, again, being real and authentic. And then 9 years later, August 4th, I get like one of my friends sends me, I was actually at the Hamptons with the girls. We were filming August 4th. I'll never forget. And one of my friends' girlfriend sends me a trailer. She goes, you did this? And I'm like, oh my God, no, what is that? She's like, yeah, you're all like on Netflix on some trailer. And I'm like, oh my God, that was like this stupid interview I did like 9 years ago. And, it's like, you never know whether somebody was going to pick you up. It was just like gathering some information. And 9 years later, it's on Netflix. And I made no money.
Well, I imagine you're making a very good paycheck now that you're back on Housewives, and we love to see it, Alexia. Like I said, you're my favorite on the show, and I love Adriana. She's got a lot of crazy antics that she keeps things exciting on the show for sure. But thank you so much. Where can people go to keep up with you or to learn more about your beauty bar in Miami Beach?
Yes. So they can go to on my Instagram. They could go to Alexia Nepola. It used to be Alexia E_says. But that's the first thing I did. Once I got married, I changed the Instagram name because, that's official. Anything on Instagram is official, yes. Right? And so I'm Alexia Nepola. I'm still trying to figure out the paperwork for all the other important documents. And you can also go to Alexia and Frankie's Beauty Bar.
I love it. Well, if I ever find myself in Miami, I think I'm definitely going to have to come into the beauty bar to check things out. I would love to come pop in, and I'm definitely going to send you some wine. Thank you so much, Alexia. I really appreciate your time and your honesty. You've always been such an open book, and that's what we love about you on the show.
Thank you.
So thank you. Guys, check out Real Housewives of Miami on Peacock every Thursday. If you haven't done so yet, go and binge the first 3 seasons because it is good. And season 4 is just as spicy with that Miami heat. Alexia and the gals are bringing it every week. I can't wait for the reunion. I saw the dresses and the looks.
My bachelorette party, so you have to watch this Thursday.
All right.
Party at the Versace Mansion.
Ooh. I love it. Well, I can't wait. Thank you guys for listening to #NoFilter with Zack Peter. You can give me a follow at JustPlainZack. Follow the show at NoFilter with Zack, and be sure to stock up on our No Filter wine at nofilterwine.com. All right, guys, I will talk to you later this week. But until then, I'm going to go pick Alexia's brain a little more because I am loving Real Housewives of Miami. Love you. Mean it. Bye.